PCA LP, Petaluma, California. Good afternoon, Petaluma.
Hey, I don't think my mic is on, Matt. I don't hear me. There I am.
There you are.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Matt. Good afternoon, Petaluma.
Once again, a swift technical shift into two mooks and a mic.
It's just the wrong button that didn't get pushed. That's it. Or the right button that didn't get pushed.
Hey, what do you want from a couple of mooks?
I want a mic. I want more than one mic.
That's
maybe
right.
two mics.
Well, that's Jim Thomas over there, your co-host.
And the person talking right then is Matt Maguire.
Your
also
other
a co-host. Right.
Well, thanks, Petalumans, for tuning in and listening once again to our little political analysis and roundup of lunacy that we like to deliver every week.
Yeah, or instant hangover, a verbal hangover.
Or is it a political, emotional, and
That's
otherwise
just
a hangover?
Angst. The angst show.
The angst.
Well, and we try to undo the angst.
We try.
Yeah.
Don't know if we succeed, but
I think we do, Matt. We bring in humor. We bring in a personal thing. We
got to laugh or you're going to cry.
We can tear our hair out with our listeners. And we have some new listeners, I'm sure of it.
Oh, I'm sure.
I can't tell for sure whether we do, but,
I thought
welcome.
you just said you were for sure.
Well, kind of for sure. Well, for sure that I'm not sure about being for sure.
Okay, well, sure. There you go.
Okay, let's dive into it. What do you say?
Enough of this dilly-dally.
Yeah, no more dillies.
Yeah, so once again, the hot news of the moment is that Jamal Khashoggi, the Saudi citizen living in Virginia, a critic of the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince and the royal family.
And a reporter for the Washington Post.
And a reporter for the WAPO was murdered in the Saudi Arabian embassy in Istanbul, Turkey, where he went in to get papers so he could marry his fiancée.
Get married, right. That's
he went in, the fiancée waited outside. He never came out. Looks like a special team of 15 special ops guys came from Saudi Arabia.
Flying in on a private plane, landing at 1:30 in the morning.
Brought a
bone saw.
A bone saw.
They brought a bone saw.
Murdered him and dismembered him.
Yeah, wow. How did they know he was coming? That's what I don't get.
Well, because he made an appointment to go get the papers.
Oh, all right. Oh,
But
Matt, you're so smart.
This is, this has been an international outrage, and of course, Donald J. Trump, the tangerine turd himself in the White House, is trying to say, nothing here, and don't worry about it. Oh, we got to sell these billions of dollars of arms to the Saudis. They're our good buddies.
Look at all look at all the arms that we've sold to them. But actually, also how much money the Saudis have spent on Donald Trump, like buying the 22nd floor of Trump Hotel,
Trump Tower.
Thank you, Trump Tower, or
in New York,
or going into the Trump Hotel and renting out rooms.
Well, and so Trump has been trying to downplay this, but the international outrage has been just huge, and even Republican congressional people are saying that we can't, we have to distance ourselves from these murders because this is like a really brutal thing. I mean, it's not like the Saudis haven't murdered and jailed and tortured countless people, but this was so blatant that it's caught the international attention.
Absolutely,
and so even Trump today is having to admit that the journalist is dead. He's still, and he sent his man Pompeo, who's supposed to be tough.
Flew 12 hours there, met with the
Salman, Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince.
MBS, and then for 2 hours, and then flew 12 hours back.
Yep.
Inconclusive, and said, well, we have to let the Saudis have more time.
And, people were like shocked and appalled that all the photos he's, grinning and shucking and jiving with the crown prince and, not a good, very embarrassing internationally.
And they're having Davos in the desert, which is a big...
Well, except people are abandoning
They are, including Mnuchin, who was going to go, and he's finally...
Trump's trade secretary.
Thank you. He was finally shamed into not going,
exactly.
So that's good.
And now people like Goldman Sachs and people are dropping off.
Yeah, Jamie Dimon.
As they should, this is like Salman's attempt to say, oh yeah, we're a more liberal society. It's like, no, you're not.
Right, exactly. They still behead people with swords, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, this is just kind of like, so Pompeo looked like Salman's lapdog with his grinning and shaking
Are we surprised?
hands.
Right, and he said that Jared Kushner is in his pocket.
Well, and Jared Kushner keeps advising Trump that, just don't worry about this. Don't make a big deal.
It'll blow over.
Salman will weather this like he's weathered other outrages, like when he, captured all the rich people in their country and put them in a hotel and extorted huge amounts of money out of them.
That's right, yeah. But he did let women drive.
Yeah, but when Pompeo came back after the meeting, he said, reporters asked him about it. He goes, I don't want to talk about any of the facts. And then he adds, they didn't want to either.
No facts. Yeah.
No kidding.
This is a fact-free zone is what it is. Yeah.
And then suddenly Saudi Arabia transfers $100 million to the U.S. on the promise that they were going to help pay for Mideast stabilization in Syria, et cetera. They'd been promising that since the springtime. And, it just so happened that here comes the money now.
Right, you're right. And Saudi Arabia has been bombing Syria for a long time.
Well, and not to mention creating a massive,
Yemen,
a human rights catastrophe.
Yes.
I mean,
so they're not
awful.
good people. They're not
bad
good people.
And this is how they roll. It's like they don't like the guy, they grab him, murder him, and chop him up and throw him away.
And their branch of Islam is the Wahhabis, and the Wahhabis are the
most
fundamentalist of all.
Most extreme.
Right, most extreme.
Yeah. Which is why the women advocates in Saudi Arabia who were advocating for women's right to drive have then been jailed and are still jailed. They've given the women the right, but it's like, oh no, don't speak up. We'll punish you.
Right. Yeah. So it's a mess. It's a total mess, and of course Donald Trump is in the center of it.
Yeah, absolutely, and
exacerbating the situation.
And that clown. So while he's
clown
dealing with that at the same time, now he's like, oh, the Hondurans are having a caravan of 1,000 poor, starving people coming to apply for asylum.
Right,
so
escaping political repression and violence in their own countries.
And poverty. And so,
poverty.
So his quote is, he will call up the U.S. military and close our southern border. Yeah, he says the assault on our country at our southern border, including the criminal elements and drugs pouring in, is far more important to me as president than trade or the USMCA, the United States, Mexican, Canada.
The new NAFTA too.
Yeah.
Right.
So, here he is. It's like, just fomenting fear and anger. So the drugs pouring in. Yeah, the drugs are pouring in. They're pouring in from Big Farm. Look at the opiate crisis in the country.
Yes, thank you very much.
That he's done a diddly squat about.
Right.
Or very little anyway.
Oh, Matt, let's hope that the blue wave is coming. But, I cannot look at any polls. I cannot, because
I have not even hardly seen any polls being reported except, a flash here and a flash there.
I've been listening to the facts, and the facts are at some early voting sites, the early voting the number of people are like 3 times the amount that normal.
The turnout is that high.
The turnout is that high.
Yeah,
it's very exciting, but we don't know whether it's red or blue. We just don't know.
Well, I mean, and this election could really determine the fate of Medicare and Social Security.
Yes, and Medicare as well. Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security.
Yeah, and then, of course, the Republicans are just lying through their teeth. Mitch McConnell's like, Democrats want to take away your health care. I was like, wait a minute. Didn't you guys vote like 52 times to destroy the Affordable Care Act?
That's right.
And it's like, oh, they took $800 million or $800 billion from it. It's like, to improve the Affordable Care Act and deliver greater services.
Dig it. Right. And they want to attack all these entitlements, which is Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid, to pay for the debt that they did through the tax cuts.
Which is just ballooning.
It is. It's baloney and ballooning.
Yes, it's like a cancer on the body politic. It's like it's going to hit $1 trillion here very shortly.
I always thought that what they were going to do is when the Democrats come back into power, which eventually, hopefully that will happen, then the Republicans are going to blame them for the debt.
Yeah.
Right?
As they do. The Republicans excel at blaming the victim. And then whining that they are the victim. Right?
Yes. Well, and it seems to work with a lot of these people.
Look what happened with Brett Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court appointee. And it's like, Trump is like, well, innocent until proven guilty, your sons are in danger. And yet he goes to all these rallies and says, Hillary's a criminal, lock her up. Yes. And it's like, wait, where's the innocent until proven guilty?
Thank you.
Donnie boy.
Right, that's right. Yeah. Thank you very much.
So it's just really disgusting. Well, and then, look at what's going on in Southern California.
What?
So Duncan Hunter Jr., whose dad was in Congress for years, really right-wing,
you almost said it. Asshat.
Yeah, asshat. He's remember. Duncan Hunter Jr. is the one that has been indicted for he and his wife for spending more than $250,000 of their campaign funds on their own selfish uses, right? So he's still running in a very red county, but there's a Democrat running against him, and his name is Amar Kampa Najjar, and he's his father is Palestinian, his mother's Mexican American. They divorced when he was a little kid. He was raised by his mom. So Duncan Hunter's father is bringing out photos of Amar with his dad and going, terrorism. And then, and his grandfather was part of Black September. Of course, the guy had gotten killed by Israeli commandos long before this kid was ever born.
Okay, so he's saying that it runs in the family.
Yeah, so it's like, and so people are going, Jesus, that is so racist.
Yeah.
Do you have any evidence? No, it's the family tie. So, well, I mean, so the Hunters are just racist through and through. And this is typical. And this is California. Shame on them if that district, if they re-elect that crook.
No kidding. That's right. Well, a lot of people just, they hold their nose and vote, or they just say, well, you know what? I don't want to change the status quo. We don't know about this guy, and who knows? He could be a terrorist, right?
Yeah, right. Well, that's just like fear-mongering again.
Always. That's their bottom line.
The guy Amar, the Democrat, has had 2 security clearances already. He worked for the Obama administration. The guy's no terrorist.
Yeah,
but, hopefully he's confronting this racism.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. So, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Facebook. Let's slap them around a little bit.
As Maureen calls it, face crack.
Face crack,
because it's addictive.
It is.
Yeah.
And specifically designed to give you, your endorphin rush, et cetera.
Right.
Well, a recent New Yorker magazine article pointed out, it was an interview of Mark Zuckerberg.
Who's the CEO and founder.
And young guy in his middle 30s.
Yeah.
And, kind of a little slow to get a clue when he's to learn about just how bad and corrupt the uses of Facebook has become.
I think that he's looking the other way, man. I think that he's looking at his bottom line, and he's saying, you know what, this is where we're earning money.
Their whole corporate focus is on growth, and he claims it's about transparency and connecting people. No. Well, listen to this, Jim.
All right.
In the 2016 election, Facebook offered to embed employees in both the Hillary Clinton campaign and the Donald Trump campaign.
Okay, why is that?
To help them structure their messages delivered through Facebook.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, we all remember the Cambridge Analytica psychometric profiling and the Russian, fake news and fake sites and all the gaming of Facebook there.
That's right.
Well, so it turns out that the Facebook employee helped the Trump campaign structure voter suppression messages to targeted audiences like black people with things like, Hillary Clinton doesn't deserve the black vote, and here's why, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
And things like that. And it turns out that Trump actually raised $280 million in small donations through Facebook. And his digital media manager for the campaign says, we would not have won without Facebook.
Oh, my God. All right, so boys and girls in the radio land, if you are thinking about dumping Facebook, this might be another reason why you want to do that.
Exactly, and this is why,
jeez, Matt.
A responsible government of the people, by the people, and for the people,
thank you,
would be throwing some ropes around this thing and saying, you can't get away with this. Now,
go ahead.
Well, so Zuckerberg said, we're working on it.
Yeah,
and, we're getting some transparency so you can find out who's paying for ads, political ads and things like that. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but it's still being abused, and there's still tons of it going on, and they're still trying to fix it with algorithms, which you can't do.
Yeah, it's got to be people.
Language is not confinable to specific algorithms.
All right, so that might explain why, if they're allowing the Republican Party to put out these messages, that there's no monitoring what they say. They're just allowing them to do whatever. Let me show you how to upload that to Facebook, whatever your message is, instead of saying, whoa, what are you doing? That's crazy.
You suppressing votes through Facebook.
Yeah, you're being racist and xenophobic and all that.
Really anti-American.
And suppressing votes.
Anti-democratic.
Anti-democratic.
Well, the day is going to come, hopefully, when Facebook gets their comeuppance.
Well, I think if people say, I'm done with Facebook and unlog and get rid of it, that will be their comeuppance.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of good news.
Let's hear it. Yeah, really, we need to.
Democrats are outraising Republicans by substantial amounts.
Nice to hear it.
In the 69 most competitive congressional races, the Democrats have raised $46 million versus the Republicans $15 million.
Hey.
So that's 3 times.
Thank you very much.
The Dems have raised.
Keep giving.
Yeah, and the total raised overall by Democrats in the current phase is 252 million versus Republicans 172. That's an $80 million difference.
That's really amazing.
In the favor of Democrats.
That's good.
And you know what they're doing? Basically, they're following
Bernie
both
Sanders,
Bernie Sanders
right.
and Barack Obama's
small donation.
online, solicitations for small
So
donations.
flip the pillows on your couch, grab your change, and mail it in.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Matt, 1 year after the Me Too movement began, 43% of men said their behavior towards women has not changed at all, while 32% of men are more careful about their actions and their words. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, yeah. Well, good.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah,
people
need to be.
They're getting woke.
Yeah. And, of course, Canada is now, this past week, has become the largest country in the world to legalize recreational marijuana.
Ain't that something?
Long lines at the,
at the
pot stores.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll be able to get non-prescription drugs across the border.
Well, of course, so the ICE authorities had to call Canadian authorities and remind them that it's still illegal in the U.S.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, thanks, ICE.
Thank you very much.
We almost forgot.
So, Matt, Halloween's coming up, and children over the age of 12 years old, face up to 6 months in jail if they're caught in Chesapeake, Virginia, this Halloween engaging in, quote, the activity commonly known as trick or treat, unquote. City officials passed the ordinance to prevent older kids from engaging in Halloween mischief. Even children under 12 are banned from trick-or-treating after 8 p.m. and face jail time if not of not more than 30 days.
Oh, my God.
I know,
Are
right?
you kidding me?
No.
So there's a city council that's really got the safety of the community at heart.
Right. Well, Matt,
you're 13 and you're out there trick-or-treating. You are, put them in jail, lock them up.
That's right, lock them up. Well, so much for our days of running around at night with eggs. And I don't know who did that, but it was, I heard that it happened.
We'll have to investigate that.
Yeah, we'll have to investigate. Yeah. Well, not too closely.
Yeah, okay. Well, and again, I mean, this is going to be a crucial election here. Right now, the Republicans have, believe it or not, rammed through more conservative right-wing judges than any president in history since the circuit court judge system was developed in 1891.
Wow, that's frightening.
They have confirmed 29 appeals court judges and 63 district court judges, and these are members of the very conservative Federalist Society, which has been plotting this for decades as a way to take over the courts.
Probably since Barry Goldwater lost. It's that long of an arc of trying to get it back, and Johnson and losing the Southern vote, and
certainly since Nixon's days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely since then. But this is what Mitch McConnell has been gaming. I mean, it's like they love Donald Trump because he does distractions while he's
destroying the country.
Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain because he's making such chaos in front of the curtain, which we're all paying attention to. They're doing all this judgeship, which is going to last how many generations?
How many decades?
Yeah, and Kavanaugh will be part of that.
Exactly. And so, I mean, now the Republicans basically have control of all three branches of government, and they've got a Supreme Court that looks like it will give carte blanche to anything that Donald Trump does.
Oh, don't even say that.
I mean, this is scary. But this is why this election is becoming so crucial.
Everyone is crucial, but this is even more.
And we're going to be talking about the local election here in just a few minutes.
Yeah, that's good.
But give us another shot there, Jim. What do you got?
Yeah, Dianne Feinstein, there's she had a debate with De Leon about who should be the next senator. And people say, well, Feinstein is pretty old, and maybe she's too much of a moderate.
She should hang up her cane.
Maybe so. But she is, if the Democrats come back into power, she hopefully will be the chair of the Judiciary Committee. Well, she'll have jurisdiction over the clerks and judges who signed up for a secret indoctrination session at the Heritage Foundation. Oh. So that's good that she has that seniority. I'm not sure that De Leon would have that seniority.
Well, there would be in the Democratic Party structure, the people who'd been there longer would get it if she wasn't there.
So hopefully people whoever, if it's not her, whoever would replace her, I don't mean De Leon, but in the seniority, would be as progressive as he is, which is slightly more than she is.
Yeah, well, he's quite a bit more, and they need to be a lot more aggressive than she is.
And more than Schumer.
Because all this senatorial decorum was great until the Republicans destroyed that, years ago, and she's still living in the past.
And she is. But you notice what she does, which I think is pretty survivalist mode, is whenever there's a push to have her reelected, she immediately goes to the left a little bit more.
Yeah. But then, she's been talking about protecting dreamers and immigration reform for, 25 years and has completely failed. So
yeah, that's true. Completely failed. Well, all right. So, Matt, if you're going to Greece and you want to ride a donkey, be careful. This is especially on the island of Santorini. There's an animal rights group. Activists have been pressuring the Greek government, and they finally passed a law banning donkey riders in excess of 220 pounds.
Boy, I better lose about 10 pounds before I go to Greece.
I think you just have 2 donkeys. You'd be like in a sling.
That's how you have a hammock slung between them.
A banana.
Let's not go there.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, Jim, the election's coming.
I heard.
November 6th.
Yeah.
And,
I got my ballot already.
Yeah. So
haven't filled it out yet. Have you filled yours out?
I'm going to fill it out probably tomorrow.
Okay. Let's do it together.
And as some listeners know, I've got my own personal voter's guide that I put out.
Very good.
And I
That's
just
a good one.
email it to a list of a couple hundred friends and relateds.
And it's now up on Nextdoor.
Yeah, it's been put up on Nextdoor, and John Crowley often puts it up on the Aquas News.
That's right.
I haven't seen it up there yet, but there was a really good discussion on Nextdoor about some of the candidates and some of the initiatives.
Really great.
But I just want to give set the record here. What I'm going to be talking about here are my own personal references. This is not KPCA's. It's got nothing to do with KPCA's stand.
Can I make say something before you start? If you don't know Matt's recommendations, you've been doing this for several years, and you go into it's a lot of research.
At least since 2004.
Okay, that's pretty long. A lot of research, and also the recommendations. If you are in the progressive bent, which I think most of our listeners are, you will really appreciate what Matt has done.
Yeah.
Worked really hard. He also has footnotes of the reasoning for his voting too. If you question it, not sure, you can read the reasons for Matt's decisions, which is good.
And those are sort of, the ones that I thought were most compelling.
Yeah, and thank you for that, Matt.
Yeah, and so, and listeners, if you'd like a copy of this, you can email me and just say, give me your voter's guide.
Yeah, we'll give you your email at the end of this,
Well, I'll give it right now.
Okay, ready to get a pencil out and a piece of paper.
Get your pen, your stylus, ready.
All right, here we go.
So it's my first initial last name, M. Maguire, so MMAGUIRE.
That's spelled right.
At crcnetworks.com. That's networks, plural.
And CRC Networks is all one word.
That's right. So M. Maguire at crcnetworks.com.
Okay.
Email me if you want it. You can make of it what you will.
Right.
And, not everybody agrees with it all along, but I'm just going to run through and give my recommendations.
And if you don't agree with it, it's way you can say, I don't agree with that, and it'll help you. It'll guide you either way.
Yeah, and last night we had guests over for dinner, and we had some really good discussion on a couple of initiatives.
Great, perfect. Let's hear them. All right, so what do we got?
Federal offices, U.S. Senate, Kevin DeLeon.
Okay.
Time for Di-Fi to hang up her cane.
Yeah, because she's too old, is that what you're saying?
Well,
and also moderate.
She's too weak.
Yeah.
She's weak, and she doesn't understand what the reality in Washington is today.
Yeah.
For House of Representatives, Congressman Jared Huffman, the incumbent. State officers, Governor Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, okay.
Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis. Attorney General Xavier Becerra. He's been really great about challenging Trump.
Yes, fantastic again, challenging Trump.
Yeah,
very good.
Secretary of State Alex Padilla.
Okay.
State Controller Betty Yee.
Yeah.
Treasurer Fiona Ma.
Very good.
Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara.
Now, Ricardo Lara, is he helping to cap the insurance, keep the insurance people from gouging everybody?
I do believe so, yes.
That sounds good.
And then Member State Board of Equalization, Malia Cohen.
Okay.
And then State Assembly 10th District, this one is important, Dan Monti. He's running against Mark Levine. And Mark Levine has started taking money from the charter school industry, and he's been a Democrat in name only on a couple of crucial environmental votes and farm labor votes. So definitely Dan Monti.
Yeah, and you don't hear much from Dan Monti, probably because his purse strings are not that big, but that's good to remember Dan Monti.
Dan Monti is taking no corporate money, period.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then let's see, the Superintendent of Public Instruction. This is important too. Tony Thurmond.
Do not do Marshall Tuck.
That's right. Tony Thurmond is the black guy. You want to vote for him. Marshall Tuck has taken big money from the charter school industry.
All right. So, if you want to ruin a public school, vote for Tuck. But if you don't, if you want to save public education, won't go for Thurmond.
Tuck. public education.
Don't
tuck it over.
Duck it. Duck him.
Yeah.
Duck the tuck.
Duck tuck.
All right, we can just say something else about a clock and a rock and
fire truck.
Hey.
Okay, judicial. These are confirmation votes for the Supreme Court associate justices, Court of Appeals, etc. Vote yes on all of them with one exception.
Which is that one?
And that one is Justice Carol Corrigan.
Why?
Vote no because she voted against gay marriage not once but twice.
Whoa, okay.
Appointed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, a Republican. Some progressive organizations down in San Diego had some very critical things. So no on Corrigan, yes on the rest of the judges.
No on Corrigan.
Yeah.
Great.
Now,
long way, Corrigan.
Before we get to the state measures, Jim, I just want to run through our local races.
Yeah, good. Petaluma.
Okay, Petaluma City Council and Mayor. Teresa Barrett for mayor.
She was also endorsed by the Press Democrat.
That's right. Yeah.
Pretty nice.
Yeah. She's running against Mike Harris. Mike Harris was on the council for 12 years and had nothing to distinguish himself within 12 years.
He does squat. And if you want more information on Mike Harris, why you shouldn't vote for him, go to MikeHarrisInfo.com.
That's right.
And it will show what really he is like. All these people are writing things about how nice he is. Maybe so.
Yeah.
But his politics are very wrong for this
Very right-wing. And he claims he's moved beyond that. But a guy who couldn't see his way to vote to ban assault weapons is not a guy that Petaluma needs to have represent.
No, thanks.
Right?
All right. So
Teresa Barrett for mayor. And then city council. So I'm going to go with 3 non-incumbents.
Okay.
We had all the candidates in here. We interviewed them.
Right.
Dave King, the incumbent, has a strong chance of winning.
Guy.
I like Dave.
Yeah.
But his independent voice is not as independent as he likes to say. In fact, if you're going to be an effective council person, you really have to be collaborative.
Right.
And that means that you're not just completely independent.
Thank you.
But the issues that I think are critical here is that Dave is not a strong, in fact, he's an opponent of rent control and just cause eviction rules to protect renters.
That was a very exciting conversation that you and he had.
Yeah.
Placed on fire.
So with that, we want to have you folks vote, if you see your way to it, for Delinda Fisher.
Yep.
Kevin McDonnell,
and
Dr. Dennis Posake.
Perfect.
Yeah,
like all those guys.
They all have real skills that will be of benefit here to the city council.
Good bona fides.
Yeah, and then on the Petaluma Joint Union High School District, again, I'm going to go with the 3 non-incumbents.
Thank you.
We need new blood there. There's bad blood between the teachers and the board, and there's a lot of anger in the community towards the board for being non-responsive. For people who go there with issues and just kind of get the brush off.
And also teacher pay is so low. And
teacher pay is low.
It's incredibly awful for these teachers.
To the incumbents' credit, they've said a big part of what they're doing in their job is trying to lobby Sacramento for more funds and to adjust the local funding formula, which determines how much each school gets based on demographics. Now, that's fine, but there's no reason any of these 3 newcomers can't do the same thing.
I was going to say, you just drive to Sacramento. They're good up-and-comers and go-getters.
2 of these people have been teachers, and one of them, Maddie Cloud.
I've talked to her. She is a former teacher. Very good.
Joanna Paun. She's a former teacher.
Spell that, please, her last name.
P-A-U-N.
P-A-U-N, great.
And Caitlin Quinn. Caitlin's quite young, and she's an out lesbian, and she's very enthusiastic. And I think she, along with these other 2, are going to bring refreshing diversity and new blood to the school board.
And just a point, sexual orientation doesn't matter, but the fact that she's out and she is not necessarily the mainstream should be nice, fresh blood. She probably brings a new perspective, and that could be really
different viewpoint.
Right, very refreshing and very good, and probably pretty progressive.
Yeah. Okay, and then local measure M, the county parks bond, yes.
Yes,
okay?
please, that'd be great.
All right, so we don't necessarily have time to go through all the initiatives, but I think there's a few here that really bear discussion, right?
Let's hear a few.
Okay, so Proposition 5 revises the rules for homeowners to transfer their Prop 13 property tax assessment to a new home. And this was I learned some more last night in discussion on this point with our friends who were over for dinner.
Good, let's hear about that.
And so what it is that it's basically saying, now right now, if you're 55 or over and you sell your house and you buy a house that is no more than 105% of the value that you are leaving, you can transfer your old property tax value to the new property.
Meaning that your property taxes will not go up.
Exactly.
That's fabulous.
So, for instance, you buy a house for $200,000.
Yeah.
You sell it for
Due to technical difficulties, this brings us to the end of this week's Two Mooks and a Mic show. So we'll go out with this delightful musical interlude.